Well, I'm glad that Emily is home. Veronica picked her up Wednesday from Tulsa. She flew back in first part of the week and had to stay for a debriefing there, and then we were able to pick her up. She was at camp meeting Wednesday night and had a great trip. She'll tell you a little bit about her trip, and I'm sure thank you for those of you that gave to help her go on that trip to Uruguay. She shared with me, I don't remember what day it was. Was it Thursday? We were in the car. I believe it was Thursday, so one of the days, Thursday or Friday. She said, Dad, I'd like to share about my trip and just share some things the Lord's put in my heart. And I said, great. I'd like for you to do that too. And I think the Lord just has a bigger plan than maybe what we realized this morning. And so I'm just going to have Emily come up here. And she's going to share about her trip, and she's going to bring the word to you this morning. So would you let her know we appreciate her and we love her today.
All right. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for each and every one of you that gave to me, whether it was financially or with your prayers or just encouraging words that you gave me. That meant so much to me, and I can't even express how thankful I am for you guys. I had such an amazing trip. Like, before I went, I was kind of stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've decided I'm going to leave the country for a month. Like, this is going to take so much time, and I'm going to be so tired of being there, and I was so wrong. It flew by. Like, when I was about to leave, I told the people we were staying with, I feel like I just got here last week. I can't believe I'm already leaving. But I had a great time, and the Lord did, like, amazing things through our trip and through the trips of, like, everyone else that went with ORU. Like, during our debriefing, we heard a lot of, like, amazing stories, and it was just touching to see how much the Lord was using all of us at the same time around the world. So I have some pictures I'm going to put up to talk about my trip for a minute. Okay, so this is the farm that we were staying on. This is like the view from the main house. They had tons of land, and it was beautiful. Like, every single day, we helped in the kitchen and did dishes like more hours than I can even count. And I got to look at this beautiful view every time I did it. And I was just thinking how grateful I was to be there and be able to see this beautiful view. And they had sheep and cows and chickens and pigs, and it was awesome. So the next picture this is my team. There was 9 of us, and we were in all different grades and all different majors, and we had all signed up to go on missions, and I think one of us out of the 9 of us actually got placed on the team we wanted to be on. But the Lord knew what he was doing, because this was exactly the trip that we all needed personally, because we had such an amazing time of just personal growth and just stepping out in what the Lord has called us to do. So I love my team. They were awesome. These are some of the kids that we got to minister to. We were staying in this little town. Well, there was a little town called San Jose, and then there was an even smaller town off of San Jose, which is where we were staying, which is called Raygon. And the way that their government is set up is you can't push religion on anybody. And so we weren't allowed to talk about Jesus when we went to the schools. So we had to just like show love through our actions and stuff, but we couldn't really talk about what we wanted to. And thankfully, since my contacts were blessed with all of this great land and this small building that was on their property, we were able to invite the kids from the schools to come out on the weekends, and we would play soccer with them and do like a craft and a lesson with them, and we were able to just minister and pour into them then, which was such a blessing because these kids were so cute and just, it was great. And then I put this team up. This is our team standing on part of their property that they call the lane. And since it's like opposite of the equator, the season was opposite in Uruguay, and it was like the end of fall, beginning of winter, and so all the leaves were changing, and it was beautiful. And we took this picture as we were just like declaring, because we took this like the first day we got there, and we were declaring that we were just going to become unified, and we were going to be like one team, one dream, and that we were just going to make an impact because we were going to be so unified, and people were going to see that. And so and we did, so it worked, I guess. We became very unified and did a lot of awesome stuff. So the theme for ORU missions this year was what could be. And all year long, I was like, yeah, this is such a great theme. Like, you could talk about this so many different ways. But I didn't really realize just how impactful it was until I got there and we were actually preaching about what could be. And on I think it was the last weekend that we were there, we were doing a sermon. We did a sermon with the youth on Saturday night and then with the whole church on Sunday night. And we were talking about what could be. And as we were talking, we saw like amazing things happening in this church because it was, I don't know if they ever actually said for sure what they were. I think they were Baptist though. And so they weren't really into the whole like dancing around and raising your hands and stuff. They were kind of a reserved church. And this one kid on my team especially, his name's Tae, and he's from South Korea. That kid loves to dance, and he was going at it during the service. And like the first couple weeks, they kind of looked at him like he was kind of weird, but they like loved it by the end of the month. And like people were dancing with him, like it was so cool. And when we finished this sermon, we did an altar call, which is something they don't normally do at this church apparently, which we didn't know until afterwards. And we had an amazing response to our altar call because we didn't really know what to expect, if people would really come up or if we would need to go out and pray for them. We were prepared to do whatever. But we did the altar call, and we sat there it felt like longer to me probably than it actually was, but it was probably like a minute, and no one really responded. And we're like, okay, well, we can just go pray for them. And then one of the elders and one of the leaders of the church stood up, and they came to the front first. And then the other leaders came up and followed them. And then all of the younger people, a bunch of them started to come up, and we just had like an amazing time of prayer, and we saw so many things broken off of these people, and it was like an amazing time. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, why do we not preach these kind of things in America? Because I was like, yeah, we're on a missions trip, and we're in a different country, but for these people, like, this is their home. They all know each other, and they all know what each other's going through, more or less, and they're still willing to come forward and admit, like, hey, yeah, I've got these things going on in my life. And my team was willing to admit, like, things that we'd been going through personally and things that we had struggled with, and we were all, like, vulnerable with them, and it was just such an amazing time. And I think one of the greatest things was it showed them that literally nobody is perfect. Because even though we came in and we were the missionaries, and you always look at missionaries like, oh man, they've got their lives together, like they know what they're doing, they probably don't sin, like they're awesome. And that's like the farthest thing from the truth. And so we got up there and we were challenging them, and I want to challenge you guys with some of the same things this morning. And afterwards, I'm going to share something that like the Lord has just put on my heart. But so my theme for this morning is, what could be if we made ourselves available and said yes to God? And on the surface, like, yeah, that sounds cool and it sounds nice. And you're like, yeah, I want to say yes to God. But a lot of times, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone else, I'm like, yeah, I want to do that, but I don't really think about what that means in my personal life. Because to make yourself available, that means that you're going to have to like be a little uncomfortable and put things aside and get rid of things in your life that you shouldn't be doing. So what could be if you stopped watching pornography all the time? Because that's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but that's a major problem, and that's affecting relationships, and that's affecting people, because that changes your heart. And so that's something you're going to have to put aside if you want to be available for God to use you. What could be if you stop partying every weekend and stop going out and getting drunk and doing drugs every weekend? What could be if you allowed the Lord to take those things out of your life and if you were willing to just fully live for him? What could be if you stopped judging people and started loving people instead? What could be if you stopped saying, oh, well, you need to stop doing this and you need to stop sinning this way because I don't sin that way. I sin other ways, and my ways aren't as bad as your ways. But that's judging them. That's hypocritical. You're sinning just as much as they are. Just because you think that their sin is worse than yours doesn't mean it's any different. Because the Bible says that all types of sin are equal, and they're all sin. So we need to stop judging people and start sharing the love of God with them. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what sharing the love of God looks like. So if you could put up 1 John 2:15. Okay, so it says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever." So, right here in the Bible, it says that if you are in the world and you're loving the things of the world, you are not loving like the Father. And as Christians, that's all we're supposed to be doing with our lives. The Bible says that the number one thing to live by is by love, and that we should be showing love like God shows love. And if we're loving all these things of the world and supposedly loving other people, it contradicts each other. That doesn't work. So if you truly want to love people and love the people of the world, you have to stop loving the things of the world. And then in 1 John 3:16, it says, "By this we know love, because he laid down his life for us, and we also ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. But whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of God abide in him?" So, if you're just going through life and you're like, yeah, I love people, like I'm a great Christian, I'm willing to do all these things for them, but you're going to work every day and you're not sharing the gospel with anyone you talk to, how is that showing love? How are you truly loving the people of the world if you're not even loving the people that you interact with every single day? And I don't even know how many people I've talked to throughout my process of going on this trip that have told me that they also have felt called to do missions at some point in their life. And if they're older, they say, like, yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to do missions, and I just never got around to doing it. I got married, and I got a family, and it just never happened. And one thing that the Lord really worked with me on this trip was realizing that you don't have to leave the country or even your city to do missions. You can do missions every single day because every time that you're interacting with people is an opportunity to share the gospel. So if you're walking through Walmart and you feel like the Spirit's saying, hey, you need to go pray for that person, or if you're too scared to go pray for them, just pray for them yourself. But you're just going through Walmart, living your daily life, getting groceries, and that's an opportunity to share Jesus with someone. That's your missions field. Oklahoma City can be our missions field. Or if you feel like you are not capable of doing it on your own and you need someone else to lead you, then there are plenty of organizations around here that you can go join in with that go and minister to people. So if you're truly trying to share love with people, you're going to be wanting to share Christ with people because Christ is love. And so you can't truly I feel like you can't truly want to do missions and reach people if you're not willing to start here. If you're not willing to start with the people that you live with and interact with every single day, then your heart's not ready to go out and try to give love to people in another country, because you need to be willing to start here, and you need to get over your fear of, oh, well, I know that person, and so I don't want to offend them, I don't want to upset them, like, I don't want them to feel like I'm judging them. You need to be willing to go talk to those people anyways, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to receive it better from someone they know than some random person that comes up and talks to them anyways. Because you can come out of a spot of like, hey, I love you, I respect you, I struggle with things too, just like like, I just want to encourage you, or I just feel like the Lord wants me to tell you this. And so something that the Lord really was just laying on my heart was, hey, Emily, you need to do more in your community. Because I did the exact same thing, like all year long during school. I was like, man, I can't wait to go on this missions trip. Like, I'm going to get to share Jesus with all these people. It's going to be awesome. And every single week, ORU sends out 30-something outreach missions every single week to different places around Tulsa. And how many times did I go on those? None. Because, oh, well, I'm going on this missions trip, so I'm good. Like, I don't need to go do that stuff. I've got my stuff taken care of. But, like, how can I expect to go bring love and the word to people in other countries if I'm not even willing to share the word with people that speak the same language as me and people that live in the same area that I live in and experience the same things that I experience? So that's something that the Lord really worked with me on this trip, was like, hey, you need to learn to love here first, and then you can try to focus on loving somewhere else. And so this one song that really stuck out to me during this trip, it's a Bethel song, and it's called Pieces. And I wrote down some of the lyrics, and then I think we're going to listen to it in a second. But it says, your love's not fractured. It's not a troubled mind. It isn't anxious. It's not the restless kind. Your love's not passive. It's never disengaged. It's always present. It hangs on every word we say. Love keeps its promises. It keeps its word. Your love's not broken. It's not insecure. It's not selfish. Your love is pure. So, if that's how God's love is, then our love should be a reflection of that. Our love shouldn't have anything holding it back. We should just be giving pure love for people. We shouldn't think, well, I would love you if you would stop doing this, or I would love you if I could let go of this, because we even do that with ourselves. We think, well, oh, I'm not qualified to go talk to that person because I'm struggling with all of these things, or I've gone through all this stuff in my life, so there's no way that I deserve to go tell someone else how they should be living if I've done all of these terrible, horrible things in my life. But if you think about it, who in the Bible that God used to do incredible things, which one of them was qualified? Was it the 20-year-old fisherman, or the tax collector, or the person who persecuted Christians and killed who knows how many of them? Do you think any of them were qualified to go change the world for Jesus? No. So if you think about it, it doesn't matter if you're qualified, because none of us are qualified. The thing that qualifies us is Jesus and his love. And if we allow his love to just flow through us freely, then we're going to be able to do incredible things in this world, and we're going to be able to make incredible changes. So all you have to do is say yes to the Lord and say, yes, God, I'm going to let you use me. I'm going to put these things aside that have been holding me back, my insecurities, my fears, the things that people have done to me, the things that I've been offended about. I'm going to put all of those aside, and I'm just going to say yes to you. I'm going to say yes to your love. I'm going to say yes to your calling on my life. So I just want to leave you with the challenge to reflect on what you feel God has called you to do, and reflect on all of the incredible things that God has brought you through and the things that he's done for you out of love, because there's not one person in here that can say, oh, I don't have anything that the Lord has done in my life. There's been no instance where he's shown me his love. Because even if you're not a Christian and you don't even know the Lord, he's been working in your life this whole time. Like, it doesn't make any difference if you've been in church since you were born or if you've been in church for the last 5 days. The Lord has been doing things in your life to bring you where you are right now. So if you just step into the calling and decide that you're going to step onto that path that he's laid before you, you're going to see incredible changes in your life and the lives around you. So I just want to challenge you to reflect on these things and just pray about it and be willing to truly listen to the Lord and hear his voice. And it could be kind of scary what he tells you to do. I feel like I've been called to go do missions, which terrifies me because I love being right here with my family. But if he's called me to go somewhere else and do missions, then I'll do that. If he's called me to do missions here, then awesome, I'll do that. But you need to just be willing to be available and ready for the Lord to use you. So I'm going to play this song that I just read the lyrics from, and I want you to just sit and listen to the Lord for a minute and just reflect on his love and reflect on how you've been showing his love, if you've been showing his love at all. So, thank you.
troubled mind, it isn't anxious, it's not the restless kind. Your love's not passive, it's never disengaged, it's always present, it hangs on every word we say. Love keeps its promises, it keeps its word. It's not
Would you stand to your feet? Would you lift your hands to the Lord, and would you just begin to tell the Lord in your own words, in your own way, how thankful you are for His love in your life? Come on, lift it up. Lance, would you just come play something? Lift up your praise to the Lord. Lord, I thank you for your love. I thank you that you love completely. That you are willing to be seen with us, to associate with us, to call us yours. I ask, Lord, that you would challenge us to first of all receive your love, and secondly, to give your love. To give your love back to you, to give your love to others. That we would give our lives to you. That we would be willing to lay down everything of our life to pursue you, to follow you, to trust you. That we would lay down our hurts, our failures, our struggles, anything that holds us back, that we would be willing to lay it down. That even as we've heard this morning, that we would love you, and that we would be willing to love the people of the world, and that we would be willing to give up our love for the things of the world. Challenge us today. There are probably people sitting here this morning that you have called, that you have pursued, that maybe at one point they said yes, and maybe at other points they're not sure, and maybe in some ways they've said, I can't. But you challenge them again today to just say yes to you. I want to do this. This is how we're going to close this service today. This was not planned. Emily simply wanted to share her stories, and she said, I have just a few things that I want to say. She said, maybe I'll take 10 minutes. Little did we know that God was going to design and going to use her to bring her first message on a Sunday morning. To challenge us. Here's what I hear in my heart. Just like this young woman has said, all you got to do is say yes to His love, and to be willing to step out, and He can use you in ways you can never imagine. I don't know if she's ever really considered preaching on a Sunday morning or not, but she just did. Because all you got to do is just step out and love God and love others and let God use you. And here's how I feel like the Lord wants us to close, because I think there are some people here that need to respond to this. If you're here today and you need to say yes to Jesus, to His love, and to say, yes, Lord, I'm going to love you with everything. I'm going to love the people of this world. And if that means giving up the love for the things of the world, I say yes. And if I have to give up my hurts and my insecurities and my fears, I'm going to say yes. And if it means you take me somewhere I don't even know where you're going to take me, I'm going to say yes. Or if it means you leave me right where I'm at to do your work, I'm going to say yes. The But most importantly, I'm going to say yes to change my world with your love. If you need or you want to declare today that you're saying yes to the Lord with your life, yes to His love, yes to loving others, yes to reaching out to others, and you're willing to leave everything else aside, I want you to step from where you are, and I want you to walk right down here, and we're going to say yes together. Come on. You just want to say yes. Maybe you've already said yes, but you want to reaffirm it. Come on, that's right. Just come on. You're saying yes today. I'm saying yes. I'm leaving my failures, my struggles, my bad. I'm just going to say yes. I don't even know what that looks like, but I'm going to say yes. What about our young people that are here today? Are you willing to say yes? I don't know what that means. I don't know what I'll have to do. Let me tell you, if you'll say yes to the Lord, everything else is easy. It might feel hard, but God's got you when you say yes to Him. Come on, we're going to pray, but who else wants to say yes this morning? Hallelujah. We just wait on you, Lord, because we know you're doing something.